what it is. It's something that I've been waiting to get a hold of my partner to talk to my partner with. I've been talking to people. Uh, when did this deal? Well, it deal happened Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been talking to people off and on since Thursday, and it's funny because the phone was buzzing. I was trying my best, like, not to pay attention to it, but I couldn't help it, and it was a little mixture of everything. The
Mm-hmm.
natural stuff I get because we do this, the ESPN and all of those alerts. Naturally, I expected them because I knew what day it was.
Right.
Again, like I had been telling people as it got closer, where the rumors were back and forth, up and down, left and right about this trade, I got to the point where I just was like, I won't believe it until it happens. And I
As
said
me as
also,
well.
and I said also in honesty, I really don't think it's going to happen until the off season. But to the contrary, it happened. Sixers completed the trade for James Harden and Paul Millsap coming over to the Sixers, getting rid of the disgruntled Ben Simmons, along with Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. Also, a 2022 draft pick, which has the option to decline to 2023 or defer to 2023 for the Brooklyn Nets, and then a 2027. Make sure you heard me, folks. 2027. Do the math. Take your hand out. Use your fingers if you have to. 5 years down the line, another first round pick, top 8 protected. Which, if you know what I'm talking about, if you pay attention to the NBA, top 8 is a lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the picks a little bit. And since we're here, the 2027 pick, what you kind of have to understand, people, is the fact that that 2027 pick could still be had.
Right.
You think about the situation right now. 5 years, that pick is 5 years away. So the Sixers are absolutely, as you saw, they made this deal in win now mode. So let's just say that you have James Harden for the rest of this year. You get very, very close, maybe even to the finals, and lose in the finals. He opts in. You don't win it again next year. And then there's all the talk where, oh, he's going to bail or this, that, and the third. But that would be 2023, 23, 24. So that's only 2 years. At the most, maybe 3. With arguably one maybe bad year or not so great year. Then you have a draft, and then you're looking and you're working your way into that lottery round, and you can sit back and say, oh, that's right. If that pick is 1 through 8, we could be sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the 2022 right to defer is just that. Right now, you don't need it.
Exactly.
It really doesn't do you any good to have that pick right now, because where you are, even before you made this trade, that pick was going to be not a lottery pick. It was going to be somewhere low, middle, bottom half of that round, that first round, because of the team that you are and where you probably would have been, like I said, even before this trade. So you arguably don't need that. And then it would probably, if that was the case, it would probably get deferred to 2023 to go through that scenario I just gave you about the situation that if he opts in and all of that kind of jazz.
Right.
So right now, those picks really, really don't matter. And a lot of people were saying that we gave away 2 first-round picks, and why he do that, and we was asking for first-round picks and all of this and all of that. I said, you gotta understand the picks. Like, people, these are not like NFL picks. It's only 2 rounds in the NBA. And sometimes teams go and don't have a pick at all in the first round and maybe just 1 in the second round. Or maybe they've got 2 in the second round and 1 in the first round, or just 1 in the first round and that's it. Nate says 76ers are in a win now mode. We still need one more piece better than Tobias Harris. Yeah, Nate, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to the thing about Tobias Harris, what I think about Tobias Harris in this new situation in a little bit. So yeah, Nate brought up the point. So that's the thing I have on the draft page. Boy, you want to add anything in on the
let's
draft
go
page?
back to what we talked about a long while back when we explained the difference between superstars, all-stars, stars, and the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to be real careful who we call stars and superstars when they are other guys.
Right.
Seth Curry technically is a other guy.
Yes.
He's never had a team that rotated around him.
Right.
He was always a piece to a team that got moved around. So he's the other guy.
Like,
he's a good shooter.
That's what I said to people too. I'm like, just because you fell in love with him in the way he played here, he fell into a great situation where the roster makeup made it so he outweighed those guys and became the star.
And his minutes got pushed up. Other than that, he'd been coming off the bench like he's been doing.
Right.
I would have preferred to send them Danny Green. But the way it turns out, they got Seth. All right. Andre Drummond is a starter in the league to me.
Yes.
He's a starter in the
He's
league
been a
because
starter.
he still does what big men do.
His setback was going to sign him with the Lakers.
And that was it. And so for us, it was great to have him as a backup coming in and, you know what I mean, all that good stuff. We still need a good backup.
Yeah.
But losing him doesn't take away from what we can do without him.
Right.
He was good for that second tier group.
Yeah.
He was good for allowing Joel to get.
Bruce White, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, he was good for allowing Joel and Embiid to get some good minutes of rest.
And in a major way, the thought process was he was going to get a payday. He was looking for a payday.
He was definitely looking for a payday.
I mean, like I just said, his downfall or his setback was going to sign him with the Lakers. So then you become a free agent. You look at this opportunity, and you say, it's an up-and-coming team. I get to play behind, arguably right now, the best center in the league, who I've had battles with. We have a little history, so to speak, in the NBA. What better way to write my story to get my next bag? I'll go there and play. I'll do the 1 year. I'll play. I know I'm going to play because I'm going to be the only backup center. And I'll just do what I do, and I'll get it back. And I think he did that for all intent purposes.
He did.
You know, he may not get the bag that he wants, but he played himself into another contract somewhere.
He definitely did that. And, you know, I can think of a good five or six teams in the league right now.
Yes,
Brooklyn,
sir. Stay tuned, Bruce.
Brooklyn
We got
being
more
one.
coming.
You know, nationally, Brooklyn being one. But that he fits in. That he fits in. Here's the kick. When I look at the trade itself, and I look at the draft picks, people look at the amount that was given and not the substance of what was given and what you got in return.
Right.
You also got a Paul Millsap who's a veteran. Okay, well that's cool. He still could do a little something. He ain't the old Paul Millsap, but he still give you a little something. All right, cool. But what you got is what we talked about in terming players. You have a superstar in Joel Embiid, and Harden is a A-minus superstar.
Yeah, Nate, he might do a little bit better because his minutes won't be as heavy.
He's an A-minus
superstar
superstar
in Brooklyn.
You know what I mean? he's still superstar quality, even though he's been injured. So even if he's not a superstar, he's definitely an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
Tobias Harris gets paid superstar money, but he's on the borderline of being star and other guy.
Yeah.
So those are your three guys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your three guys that you know for a fact. You know two I'm gonna give. You know two I'm gonna give it up. That third one, he's a question mark. Right. Tobias Harris is a question mark. We don't know what he's gonna do.
Right.
But we do know Tyrese Maxey is ready to go.
Absolutely.
So you got 4 bona fide guys, but you definitely got 2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Potent 2 stars. Another guy that can create his own shot. That's what you get in return.
Haven't had it since AI.
So go back. What we give up? We gave up a guard who couldn't really create his own shot. He was based off the offense and running off the screen. We gave up a big man who we never relied on him in offense anyway.
And the guard with an expiring contract,
It's
he could have been pried away because of the seasons that he had.
Exactly. And what you got in return, the upside is beyond what you just let go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Don't get me wrong. Ben Simmons is going to go there, and when he realizes the ball's not going to be in his hand, that may be an issue. But if they work in an offense where he's the true facilitator,
he's definitely going to help. Nate James Harden is going to help Tyrese Maxey.
He's going to be the true facilitator and be what he is, a defender. He'll fit in.
I said the same thing to a couple people the other day, and exactly what you just said, boss. I'm just piggybacking, and I'm saying I said the same thing. What is he going to do when he's not the primary ball handler? What is he going to do when you get the opportunity to say you're in an away game and KD's back? You're playing with KD and Kyrie, and team needs a definite bucket. Well, I ain't no rocket scientist. I coached a little bit of b-ball myself. I played a little bit myself too. But all I'm saying is, even with the talents that Ben Simmons has, at that particular point, I'm playing 2-man game with Kyrie Irving and KD. Right. Because I know either one of them can get me a bucket. If it don't go to who I was designed it for, my backup plan is just as freaking good. So what is he going to do then? What is he going to do? And I said that because I said if people paid attention, he got a little tizzy fit when Brett Brown did it when Jimmy Butler was here. And he put the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands late in games because it's a smart coaching move. He knows if I get this guy the ball, he's going to do everything he can do to get me a bucket or make a play to get somebody else the easy bucket. I need both of that. I don't need just somebody that's going to try and get somebody the easy bucket. I need both of them. I need somebody that's going to get me a bucket that I can trust and say, look, your time, Jimmy, get me one. Right. And I'm relaxed because I know he going to get me one. And I will live with it if it doesn't happen by chance or whatever. I live with that better than the other side of that. Yeah. And it's weird because a lot of people are like, well, he going to do this, he going to do that. I said, I hope he does. And again, I'm not bashing Ben. I like to think that he does as a basketball player. Let's see, Nick. So do you think we can use Harden like we did with Butler? Not so much because they're on different players, Bruce. Jimmy really didn't have to have a ball in his hand to be at his peak, at his highest. In Harden's situation, a little different. He needs the ball a little bit more. Getting back to the thing, where was I at? Ben Simmons is one of those players where teams are going to slag off of him, see what he does. A lot of people are arguably saying that he's going to do a lot better with the stars that he has now with him. But again, like I said, where's their 3?
See, this is what I'm looking at.
Where truly does he fit in? Because those two guys don't rely on being set up to get their shot.
Here's my dilemma.
And real quick, boy, just last thing.
My bad.
And past those two, now those three, there's really nothing else there.
There's nothing left.
And this is no disrespect to Seth Curry, but because Seth Curry is somewhat of a liability, for lack of a better word, on the defensive end because of his size. Not his deficiencies or anything like that, just because of his size.
Yeah, and the guards are much bigger. And
yeah.
Here's my thing, and I'm gonna keep going back to this, and I'm gonna make it real simple. Like you said, Nate, all we wanted was a mid-range jumper from him or whatever. Here's what we know. We know that players resort back to what they're comfortable at doing. He, in the Sixers uniform, was comfortable at doing zero offensively. We knew he was not going to shoot the ball. We knew that when the defense slid off him, the jump shot, he was scared to take it. We knew that he didn't want to have the ball when the game was on the line because his free throw percentage is terrible. All that said, this is what he showed us in the Sixers uniform. Anybody listening, if you just think that all that's going to change the minute he put on a Nets uniform, you're sadly mistaken. Because a basketball player is who he is.
Ryan, what's up, homie?
Basketball player is who he is. Now, it can change over time. It can definitely change over time with him being around guys like Durant and Kyrie who love basketball. They can garner him in a way to get him to kind of fall in love with it. Because I honestly believe he don't love it. He likes it. He likes the attention basketball gives him, but I don't think he loves it the way KD and Kyrie and Harden and Embiid. He doesn't love it that way. But he was deemed a superstar because of his accolades with the Sixers. Well, okay, you going to a team now where the focus is not on you. You had a team. You literally had a team. You had a team where you could grow while making mistakes. Well, guess what? Brooklyn won a championship. They want to win a championship. They ain't got time for you to grow through your mistakes, bro.
Not at all.
They at a point in their careers where both of them have won.
Yeah.
They both have won, and they on a quest for another one.
Right.
And adding you can help. But you ain't just going to blossom into this bowl.
And they not going to put up with your shenanigans.
It don't work like that.
It
don't work like that.
They not going to put up with
you
your
are
shenanigans.
who you are on a basketball court. And when the game is on the line, it just heightens who you are.
Absolutely.
It heightens it. It showcases who you are.
And when you get in the moment, it shows.
We know.
Yeah, Theron Geek, thanks for tuning in. Theron said that Ben Simmons doesn't have the heart. He's going to be benched in fourth quarter games. I absolutely agree with that. Bruce White had chimed in and said that Ben Simmons is young. He needs to stop playing games, and it's time to be grown. You have to be grown and do your job. Emmett Bates says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Ben got another thing coming if he think KD and Kyrie going to stand for him not shooting. Absolutely. And again, the pressure, like people talk about the pressure, the makeup as far as the leadership of the stars on the two teams are totally different. Joel Embiid right now is coming into his own, so he's coming into that mode. So he's still in the early stages of that mode. But like Baldy just said, you got two bona fide champions on the other side that knows what it takes to win. And really are not going to stand by and say anything good to you if you're not fully in to improving what you need to improve on and helping them win. Perfect example, I mean, and there's been a joke about it. Look at KD in the All-Star game. Okay? He played with James several times. He played with James in OKC. They made it to the finals in OKC. James left. He brought him in. And again, in James Harden's slight defense, He didn't want to trade out of Houston because they were going into a rebuild. He was coming off some of the best years, arguably the best year of his career, and now you want to immediately go into a rebuild. I don't want to be part of that right now. If that's the case, I want to go somewhere where I can win or have the best chance to win. At the time when it happened, arguably Brooklyn was the most ideal place. It was sold on the premise of Kyrie and KD, and now we bring in James Harden, and all the media outlets did it. Oh, they're championship material. The three-headed monster that they put together played maybe 18 games together over a season and a half.
Yep.
Now you're into the same situation again, where you have Kyrie and his stance on the vaccination. Kevin Durant is hurt once again. For the time, James Harden held it down until his hamstring started to bother. And arguably you could say that's why he got that re-aggravation of that hamstring. But then he decided this is not, Nate, I thought it was something like that, 16 games together total. So he arguably says, this isn't going nothing like what y'all sold me it was supposed to go like. So it's not looking good. I want to move on. And it's weird because what are they going to get out of Simmons? Like I said, I'm not bashing. Like I said, I love what he does on the basketball court, but the way he handled this whole entire situation of wanting out was totally childish. You see James Harden, everybody's talking about he pushed his way out, but he came and he played until it got to the point where he felt like, no, I can't do this no more. But he came to work. He played.
He definitely came to play.
And he came to play. So, again, with the situation with Ben Simmons going there, I can easily say it's not going to be sweet. I think it's going to be a huge and tough adjustment for him because he's going to have to do more than what he's comfortable doing.
That's the main thing.
The sad thing is, you could sometimes, or maybe a few years back, you could argue and say, well, he's still going to play because you can't keep that much money on the bench. Contrary to that, and I totally get that and I understand the part, that's why I mentioned a few years back. In today's game right now, with the two superstars that he has on that team, that's not going to fly.
At all. Emmett, you're right. I read that as well too. I don't know how true the story was, but it said it was a report that Ben Simmons told someone in the interview that he don't know if he's going to play the 5 sometimes because they ain't his position that he played. So he might get traded in another year or two. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know if the report is real. I did read it though. But the one thing that I want to kind of chime into, and this goes beyond the trade. Now we talking game situation. Here's what happens in game situation now. You got rid of Ben Simmons, a guy that you could not, he was your primary ball handler, who couldn't have the ball in his hand, right? Because he couldn't make free throws. Okay, you supplemented him with a guy who shoots 80+% from the free throw line. He's in the top 5 of getting and-ones over the last 4 or 5 years. He's a threat from 30 feet out, which gives your big man more than enough space if you go 2-man ball on the right-hand side or left-hand side of the court. James Harden is left-handed. Perfect. We can work the left-hand side. Either way, you just got 2 to 3 pluses off of a negative that you just got rid of. And that's not including the fact that he's a playmaker as well. So what you got rid of actually culminates the three because he's almost at a triple double. So Andre Drummond got you 8-9 boards. He gets you 8-9 boards.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Curry averaged about 10, 12 points. Ben Simmons was averaged about 16, 17. Mm-hmm. Somewhere around there, 15, 16, 17. Okay, well, double that number. That's what he was getting the year before. He's getting 22, 8, and 10 now. Mm-hmm. So you got a guy who literally can almost do 3 of those things and gives you more possessions back. Because when Ben Simmons is on the free throw line, you know you as the opposite team, you know you probably gonna get a possession. Yeah, he's either gonna miss both free throws, make one, but you know you're gonna get your possibility is I'm gonna get a possession and no points was scored.
Right. Yeah, Nate Maxey would have taken his job late. He would have been sitting on the bench late in games.
Yeah,
because Maxey had proved himself. That would have had somebody to go to there, where somebody can shoot free throws and wouldn't be scared to shoot the free throws.
He's seen that coming.
So yeah, he would have late in games. I do believe that Doc would have had Maxey, and Maxey would have taken those minutes.
But the one thing people ain't looking at either of that trade that we made and looking at the players we got rid of outside of Ben Simmons, just look at Andre Drummond and Seth Curry. The point guard position on their roster, their depth chart, is Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills, Seth Curry. You still got 3 other guys on their bench that's point guards. Mm-hmm. Okay? At shooting guard, you got Kyrie Irving. They can move to the 2. Patty Mills, Brian Brown, Seth Curry. Once you get to the 4 and the 5 position, they don't even have Ben Simmons listed as a 4. They got him listed as a possible 5, which is kind of crazy. Oh no, they do have him at a 4. But Kenneth Edwards and Joe Johnson. Then you got DeMarcus Aldridge. Then you got Durant.
Right, and but you can't play him in the fourth quarter.
No, they don't even have him at small forward on their depth chart. They don't plan to play him as small forward.
They better not.
And you still got Blake Griffin in them at the 5. So Andre Drummond gets pushed further back on a 5-man on at the 5 position.
Yep.
So even though they got those 2 guys that look like they was a perfect fit for us, they just got deeper on it. They back in their regular role as they was on other teams now.
Yep.
So I don't understand what we just made them made their team depth a little deeper. But in the playoffs you're only running 8.
Right. And we still got the buyout market.
Exactly.
You know, the buyout market is coming. There have been some names floated around. I'm not gonna give any of those names right now, but some of those names have been floated around and things are possible. Nate said don't forget the other 2 guard. That hurts, yeah. So just real quick, everybody, when we talked about what the Sixers gave up, and a lot of people were indifferent and saying
Joe Harris,
that's right, when he come back. And everybody was a little indifferent. They said, the Sixers gave up too much and tried to compare it to what Morey was asking for initially. Bottom line is, you're right, he was asking for what he was asking for. I had no issues with what he was asking for because at the time, because of what Ben Simmons was coming off of, even though there was a debacle in the playoffs, the overall track record says he's an all-star, he's an all-defensive player, and was disgruntled here. And at the point, it got to the point where you had to get something back for him. So I had no issues with what Daryl Morey was asking for. After a while, it got to the point where a player that I know, a player that I trust, a player that I know what he can do, which at worst doubles everything and then some, everything or a lot of things that this disgruntled player gave us, and I have the opportunity to make this move now, then I have to do it, but I have to work my magic and do it in a way where I don't jeopardize what we've already got going. Mm-hmm. And there are pieces that I am not going to be willing to part with at this moment, and he held his ground. Yeah, Nate, Paul Reed, still needs some work or whatever, but you can play him in spots until the playoffs. That's the big thing. And a lot of the things I said earlier in the season, and people are starting to see a little bit now with the guys like George Niang. You see the work that Furkan Korkmaz has put in on his game. When Shake Milton is healthy, you see what he can do. Another person that can handle the ball and has some size and will not be afraid to shoot. Just had to throw that in there. The emergence of Tyrese Maxey now. And you add into that already what Joel Embiid is doing. And now you add into that a guy that can do a lot of scoring and a lot of the same things. And like Baldy always says, the guy that can create his own shot off the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
You make your team better, in my opinion. Because all that does is, like you said, with these two guys, if you put these guys in the two-man game, you can't double either one of them.
Right.
In that two-man game. You can't. And like Baldy said, you have the one guy that can hit the 30-footer where it's going to create space for these other guys. Like, I think you'll see Matisse's points slightly go up, but it's going to be off of the stuff that he's been getting from Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got four eyes that can see you in that realm. The dunker spot, as they like to say, or whatever call it, but his moving without the ball, his cutting. It's also going to help the shooters.
Korkmaz.
If you go to Korkmaz, and now that we've seen Korkmaz can put the ball on the floor a little bit, the spacing is going to be there for him to choose what is the better shot. Also with Maxey, who we can see can get to the basket if he's on the court at the time. So that spaces the court even more because he can shoot the three as well, but you can't give him enough space with the quickness that he has to get to the cup. And then if you sneak Danny Green into that corner on the same side that you got the two-man game on, well, it's kind of like pick your poison.
Mm-hmm. I want you to look at
and just real quick before we finish. And the sad part about it is, and a lot of people won't understand this, and people will probably miss it. In that triangle, in that two-man game with Harden, Joel, and Danny Green, your potential to get a three-point play out of all three of them is very high.
Yeah, it's extremely high. It's extremely high. The closeout on our shooters now is a little more quicker because we don't have that other guy out there. You know what I mean? That other guy provides that additional space to get those shooters. Instead of being a 1.5 step away, the defender 1.5, now they got to be almost 2.
Right.
Or on the ball, totally out of the picture away from that, helping off on the shooter. So it changes the dynamic of the type of shot. Is it open? Is it a defended shot? All that stuff goes into why a lot of guys either making shots or missing shots.
Right.
Were they open? Was it contested?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You looked at, we compared, they literally compared Ben Simmons to Magic naturally because of his size and his ability to pass the ball. So they both came into the league. Ben was hurt, but Magic wasn't, But they came into a league where there was a big man already on your team, a good big man.
Mm-hmm.
He came into an environment where there was a good big man. Both. The supporting cast for that LA team was way better naturally. Way better. But here's what happened. When Magic came in the league, he couldn't shoot either.
Nope.
He would shoot, but he couldn't shoot. He was not a good shooter. The next summer, he spent the whole entire summer shooting jump shots because they said he couldn't shoot. He got better the next year. He still wasn't a good shooter.
Mm-hmm.
It progressed. Here's a dude that went almost 2-3 years without shooting one 3-pointer in the league. That all they do is shoot 3-pointers. But you want to show us a video of you in the gym playing pickup ball with jokers my age that don't even play no more. Like, come on, man. And that's my point.
You playing with college kids
The love of it.
You immediately have an advantage of over.
The love of it.
Yeah.
Is in question.
Definitely.
Because just because he's in the league don't mean he love it.
Right.
He could like it a lot, but
yeah.
but when you get to the league, the cats that love it, they separate themselves from the guys that like it.
Yeah,
he got paid off of it.
Yeah, Bruce. I said the same thing. And towards the end of this thing, before the trade was actually made, he did become a cancer.
Yeah, he did.
And like I was saying, for the last several weeks, I gave you what news I got on it, but I also said I am to the point now where I just want something to be done. And now, don't discredit what I said. That didn't mean that I just wanted them to make a move just to make a move to get rid of
done
it.
with the situation.
I would have been satisfied even if it had went to the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
But at least there would have been a decision like, look, it's not going to happen to the summer.
Exactly.
Now I know, and I can let it go for a little bit. So I'm actually glad that it's done. And again, a lot of questions still to be answered. So just real quick, getting back to like what people said, the mixed opinions about what the Sixers gave up and how much they gave up. I'm going to tell you what the Nets gave up when they acquired James Harden. All right. Bruce says your mental has to be on 100% talking when like the other thing with the Ben Simmons issue is you use that mental health piece, and like you're in New York now. You thought Philly was rough, but you use that mental health piece, and if you would like immediately, like within the next few days or so, show up in a uniform for Brooklyn, and at some point get on the court and actually play for Brooklyn. Do you understand that the possible flack that you're going to catch from the mental health community? And you're in Brooklyn, and it's not like you're playing in the Garden, where you know that that's downtown. You know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot more, I guess, comfortability level with the police activity and things of that nature. Dude, you in the hood. Like Brooklyn, the Barclays Center is in the hood.
I don't think he realized.
Like you get off the subway and you looking right at the Barclays Center.
He think we booed him.
Okay. Again, you get off the subway and you looking right at the Barclays Center. You turn your head, depending on maybe I forget what side, but on one side you turn your head, you're looking at the projects.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought Philadelphia protesting and people getting on you here was bad. Dude, they will set you up so well. Well, they won't show their faces or nothing until you go in. Once you come out, it'll seem like more people is outside than it is inside.
I'm telling you,
so it's going to be a lot for him to register. Because I'm not going to say handle, because I don't know how he's going to handle it. I don't think he's going to be able to handle it. But it's going to be a lot, and we are definitely going to see. But just getting back to what Brooklyn gave up to acquire James Harden when they made the trade. Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, 2021 first round pick swap, a 2022 first round pick, a 2023 first round pick swap, a 2024 first round pick, 2025 first pick swap, 26 first, and then a 27 first again on the pick swap. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 first round picks. And that was on the premise of them keeping James Harden, and they gave up all of these picks. Which is why, arguably, they're where they are right now. Without James Harden and Kevin Durant playing right now, you got Kyrie Irving part-time.
Who's the facilitator?
So when you go on the road right now until Kevin Durant comes back, like Baldy just said, who's the facilitator?
Who's the facilitator?
Who is the second scorer?
Who's willing to sacrifice their game for the betterment of it? James Harden sacrificed his game and moved to the point for the betterment of the team.
He did.
So you lost a guy that almost gave you a triple-double, And now you have two superstars on your team that require the ball.
Yep.
They aren't playing. They've been hurt. They still got to find this continuity, this chemistry. Meanwhile, all your backups are going to be playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, if they don't lift the mandate in New York City, then you have to think about, and you have to definitely take consideration to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's say they stay where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
They would be the road team going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you are already down your second premier scorer for at least 4 games. Just to say, if the series goes 7, for
right.
4 games. So you got to win on the road with arguably 1 legit scorer and almost nothing else.
Nothing else.
Because people don't understand now that the way that they're set up, even with Steph Curry and the things that he did, it's going to be a lot more difficult now because depending on where they're playing, you're either going to have only KD because he's hurt now, or you're going to only have Kyrie. So in a situation now where KD is hurt, and then even it gets even further with only having Kyrie, because if it's a home game and both of them are hurt, I mean, if it's a home game and KD's still hurt, then you don't have either one of them.
I mean,
and even when you have one of them or both of them, it's still going to be tough for Seth because they don't have a legit dump the ball into the box post that you fed off of when you were here with Joel. And then when they're not there, you may arguably have to play some point. And then if it's with Ben Simmons and he's the same Ben Simmons that we all know from here, those shots are going to be even tougher because now people are going to know that's who they got to get to. We're going to deny him the ball. And it'll be very easy to do because of the Ben Simmons, if he's still the Ben Simmons that he was here.
Well, he's not playing tonight. Ben Simmons is not playing tonight. I think they play Sacramento. They're not playing tonight because of conditioning. So meanwhile, you have not played in an NBA game since the Hawks series. Since almost a year, dog.
Almost a year.
You ain't played in an NBA game in almost a year. You now got to get in NBA shape.
Yep.
You was already a terrible shooter. Listen, and that's when you was in shape.
Yeah, Nate, it is a mess up there in Brooklyn.
That's when you were in shape. You were a terrible shooter. You were in shape when you were a bad free throw shooter. Now you got to get in condition to try to get back into shape. I want everybody to understand this. He was already a bad shooter and a bad free throw shooter when he was in the top condition. He has not played in almost a year. He has to get in shape to get back to being a terrible shooter to then try to get in shape to be a better terrible shooter.
Yep.
He's got to go through 3 levels of terrible just to be okay.
Yeah. And now that you speak of it, I just looked at the schedule too. They're in Brooklyn. So there's no Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Kyrie can't play. He's ineligible.
KD is
so
out until
his
after
next
the
game
All-Star
might be when they play Milwaukee in Milwaukee.
Yeah. And then you don't have your recently traded for allegedly other facilitator. What you going to do? Now, I mean, is Curry or Drummond going to play tonight?
You still got James Johnson out. Knee contusion. Joe Harris is out.
You know?
And he having a procedure done, so he's going to be out on his left ankle. I mean,
yeah,
they are the 8th seed right now. They're the 8th seed. They won 28, 29 games right now. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, absolutely.
And in that worst part, this is the weird part.
Yes.
In the worst of their season, before it gets better, Ben Simmons is going to be in that lineup.
Yep.
He not playing tonight, but pretty soon he's going to be in that lineup.
The meat of that run that
when it's terrible.
When it's terrible, he's going to be in there. He can be right in the mix.
We're gonna see because we seen him play on teams that were bad.
Yep.
He looked real good because they were bad.
They were bad. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know how this gonna play out. They're gonna be like, see what the Sixers gave up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait till the real guys come.
Yep.
When the real guys come, I'll be able to evaluate your game a lot better, knowing the ball ain't in your hands no more.
Right.
That changes things.
A lot.
It changes things. So, like I said before, Ben Simmons is not a Robin or a Batman.
No.
Ben Simmons is a very good defender, a very good passer, and he's a very good transitional ball handler.
Right.
He can get out on a break, get guys they shots. That's who he is. Anything outside of that is absurd. He's not a shooter. He's not a scorer.
Absolutely.
We all know that. Somebody told me, "Lo, he was getting like 18 points a game." So I said, "Well, divided by 4 quarters. Divided by 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get me 2 layups a quarter, you at 16 at the end of the game. It looks good,
Yep.
but you just got
It just looks good on the numbers.
exactly. Your numbers look good. You
But
got me 2
when
fast breaks.
When I go look at the film, it's like
You got me 2 fast breaks a quarter,
You got me 2 buckets here.
and I ain't seen you in 2 other quarters. Or how about this? You got me 8 points in the first quarter.
Y'all seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Like, wait. When I look at the stat sheet, I'm like, he got 16.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
And
it's real weird, man.
It's always information behind the numbers.
Yeah, it's
Don't
real
just
weird.
throw numbers out there. Here's the information behind the numbers. He can get you 8 points in a quarter.
Absolutely. That's going to be one of his biggest challenges, Bruce. What is he going to do without the ball?
That's the question. He can get you 8 points in the first quarter. You might not see him again until the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Because in his mind, if I got you rebounds and I played defense, well, I did what I was supposed to do.
Yep.
He's not
Like, yo,
playing.
that's good. That's this dude's job. He the one that scored the points.
Right.
Not me.
He's not playing the game in terms of how much more can I impact this game.
Right.
He's playing
It
it
is-
just so nobody talk no trash about him.
Yeah, it's funny, and Joel brought up a good point with one of the comments he made, and I'm paraphrasing. You know, he basically said that it's a shame when your priorities are not winning, but to do what you want to do in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's real.
Yeah.
It was
Emmett,
real
you
meaningful.
right.
Yeah,
You right, Emmett.
you know.
Emmett said crazy thing is the mental illness part for me. All of a sudden, it doesn't exist. If it's all good now and has never been mental, and the league should investigate deeper. Where's the doctor's note, bro?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
right, like you
Right.
said that you were having a mental block. So, in the scope of mental health, a change of scenery can help you with your mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. It can help you. A change of scenery, moving a person from a stressful environment into an environment that's not as stressful can help you. Here's the crazy part though, Em. He's going from Philadelphia to Brooklyn. It's 5 million people live in Brooklyn. There's more people live in Brooklyn than they do in Philadelphia, in that one borough. He's a subway away from the booze.
Mm-hmm.
at least here,
Mm-hmm.
you was separated.
He's about.
You smack
he's
dab in
about-
a neighborhood.
He's about 30 steps away from the projects.
You smack dab in a neighborhood where you're touchable
Mm-hmm.
in an 82 game season or 40 home games, 41 home games. You're
Yeah.
touchable.
Mm-hmm.
If you think they booed you here, it gets bad because that's New York press.
Absolutely.
You still got the Knicks. Look how you're in the Mecca. You in New York, bruh.
Yes, indeed.
So they know ball players just like we know ball players.
And the expectations that have been there since the beginning.
He want to go to the
When
Clippers.
KD first got there. Yeah, he
He
wants to
should be in the
LA.
Clippers, where
wants
he
to
can
be
do
in
whatever
LA.
he want
Absolutely.
and be the guy. There's no expectations of them winning anything.
Nope.
He's in LA. He's in the
Where
Sunshine
he wants
State.
to
He
be,
can enjoy
absolutely.
himself. He can make his paper. He could be in movies. He could do all this stuff. That's what he want to do.
Absolutely, Bruce. I mean, I don't hate him either. Like I said, I love the thing that he does, the things that he does on the court as a basketball player. But the way he handled this whole situation was very childish and immature, very unbusinesslike as well. The Ryan Keith says it was never a mental health issue. That's what he said in order to still try to get paid. I agree with that. He will be exposed in the long run. Yes, he will.
Yeah.
And that long one is coming sooner than he thinks.
Yeah.
Sooner
Listen, Big D, listen, D. I want my check too. D, me and you used to argue. We used to argue all the time. We lived right next door to each other when we lived on South Street. Big D was a hell of a football mind.
Absolutely.
He's a hell of a football mind. And when we used to sit down and talk about dudes, it was always like, so what you think he thinking? You know what I mean? And we're going off of what we know, but in reality, the politics of the sport can curb it a whole nother way.
Yeah.
This dude, I'm actually, this is going to be my last time really talking about this dude, Ben Simmons. The bull formerly known as. That's what we're going to call him. We're going to call him the symbol. We're going to be the question mark.
The question mark, absolutely.
The question mark bull. We can look at his character and tell he don't love the sport, because nothing would ever take you away from it. There are politics that you like, you know what, man, I'm just going to I'm going to let my lawyers and them handle that. My job is to keep my mental. Basketball is and every ball player, whether it's basketball, football, 9 times out of 10, the sport was what allowed you to get away from the nonsense.
Yep.
It always did. All right, I know I can't eat. I ain't got no food in the crib. Man, let me just get my mind off of it. I'm on the court. He don't have that.
Not at all.
He don't have it.
Nope.
He does have some things going on within his family.
Right.
That hasn't been talked about as much as it should have. You know, he got a lot of stuff, like some incestual things going on.
He touched on a little bit of that stuff way back when too, yeah.
Could be eating at him in a mental way.
It definitely could.
It could be, and that could be the mental part of it that's tearing them up. But if basketball is your solace, if basketball is your meditative portion that grounds you, why are you allowing things to keep you away from it? It don't make sense to me. That's your escape, man.
Yeah,
D.
B-ball, football,
exactly.
whatever.
That's your escape.
Yeah,
that's where you
sanctuary. Go. Absolutely.
I go in the gym, I'm by myself. I can be to my own mind doing the thing that I love. But if you don't love it, you ain't going to the courts.
You ain't doing it.
Why would you?
Right.
It's a reminder of what you got to do.
Yep.
It's a reminder of your job.
Absolutely.
He didn't go to the gym. Come on, man.
No, he didn't.
Come on.
So, moving on to the other side, and we look at how the makeup has changed right now on the Sixers roster. I also posted it. There's a lot of jokes and a lot of chatter floating around the internet about J.J. Redick. People trying to talk J.J. Redick into coming back and playing for the Sixers right now with the addition of James Harden. I seriously doubt that'll happen. But it was just some fun banter on social media. Yeah, Nate, I was going to talk about that too. Yeah, it's really crazy how like I mentioned in the opening, that the Colts are looking to possibly release or trade Carson Wentz. We probably won't get to any of that today, but we'll definitely try and get to that Thursday. While I'm here, Thursday, 7 p.m., Drake Tavern. You know where it is, Old York Road, and I think that's Greenwood Avenue right there. We will be live on location at the Drake, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that before we close out the show. So again, moving to the other side of the ball, and we talk about our beloved Sixers, and we see the makeup, the reshaping of the roster. Some of the players there are really now starting to show you that they've benefited from what I said earlier about what we had picked up in free agency, who we had signed, and how these young players are going to have to play early and gain this valuable experience because Ben Simmons is not playing. And we've seen the progression for the most part. And I say progression except with the exception of Tyrese Maxey, because Tyrese Maxey has exploded, if you will. But you see the progression of the Furkan Korkmaz. Okay, usually he's the spot up shooter. Okay, but we've seen more recently now that he can put the ball on the floor, so he's worked on his game. Okay, to make himself better, for the betterment of the team. You look at Shake Milton, who arguably had a breakout season either last year or the year before in the bubble, but you can see the work put in where he's gotten better. Being able to get to the rim off the dribble. He worked a little bit on that three-point shot. It's not quite there yet where you actually want it to be, but he also gives you that added being able to get to the basket with some size. You look at Danny Green, and although people argue that you could have possibly moved Danny Green in that deal, I think the situation was because you just signed Danny Green and because of the contract.
Yeah.
But also, like I mentioned earlier, when you go possibly two-man game on whatever side with Joe and the Beard, Danny Green in that corner, like Baldy said, you take your chance if you want to cheat and turn your head and see what Joel's doing. With the size and the quick release of Danny Green, if it swings there hard, by the time you recover, you're late. And that shot, he's got a clean look at that shot. Same way, if you go to try and double James, he can split and either go all the way, and he splits, and now he's got two options. Because it's already one man, his man and somebody else's man is already there. So somebody's open.
Right.
And another thing, and I just thought about this morning, and I'm glad I thought about it, and I remember it when I knew that you were going to be here. In my opinion, like I always said, I just like Tobias to be a little bit more consistent. Like I said, I wasn't mad with the re-signing of him. I was a little disturbed about the contract. Not the player, but I also said if he focused and played downhill, he could be playing like arguably his best career season when he was with the Clippers with Doc. But what I thought about today, early this morning, was the fact that now he is, in my opinion, now in the spot where he fits.
Right.
As that third primary scorer, where depending on how they match up, because I still think Tyrese Maxey is going to be in the starting lineup, but for moments, you will be the primary scorer on that second unit. And that fits him, I think, a lot more comfortable than him attempting to be the number two scorer. Also, I think it helps him now that he's been putting his head down, making quicker decisions. And I don't know why he went away from that. And that was the thing I said. He does it for a span, and then he goes away. That's my issue with him when I say about his consistency. He shows you the flashes when he can do it, and then he doesn't. So I think now this is going to help him as well, because you can be a facilitator, and on that second unit, you can, for all intent purposes, get your own shot. You know, so I think that's going to help him as that third primary scorer on this team. Man.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I'll say it real quick, just for Charles Bassey is going to have to show us why we drafted him. You know, his career at Western Kentucky wasn't bad. He was a double-double guy, 17-11. But at 6'9", 230.
Yeah, I could see that starting five.
At 6'9", 230, Charles Bassey is going to have to come in there as a backup and show improve. Yeah. It's your time, youngin'. Right.
Because Paul Reed's actually not a center.
He's not. He's
Paul
really
Reed is more a four, secondary three.
Yeah.
That's really what he is.
And that's the one thing that I will say that this Sixers team is missing. It's not a position. We missing a dog. Yeah. We need a dog. We need a Andre Drummond was
thanks for tuning in.
Andre Drummond was a good defensive rebounder. I'm talking dog. Like a Reggie Evans type of I don't care defender dog. Right. Because that then creates a persona for your team. We know the key is to outscore your opponent, but also you got to stop and get possessions. And sometimes that dog can bring that energy that those other guys need that they probably
Right.
don't have right now.
Right.
They need that little spark because that's how we lost games.
Mm-hmm.
We lost games, close games because it wasn't enough dog in us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we just thinking we just gonna coast by and get the win. No, we need dogs. We need finishers. We need things on that team or specific things on that team that's gonna allow us to be able to transition from offense to defense. I mean, from defense to offense very fast and force people into tough shots in the shot clock.
Right.
Being able to defend out on the perimeter with Thibault, you got a shot blocker down low.
Yep.
You got a defender up top.
Absolutely.
But we just need that other dog. We just need somebody that has some more dog in it. And I think that'll be because our makeup. All you gotta do is look at our makeup.
Yeah.
Our makeup is similar right now. Is similar to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Now, it's similar to Milwaukee, where they got the
Right.
1-2, and then all those complementary things around them. It works for their team, and they showed that chemistry, that formula,
Right.
can win.
Yep.
I mean, they the guys. They're the guys. They the guys to beat them in Phoenix. To me,
Yeah. I can see that.
to
Especially
me, them in Phoenix are the guys you gotta beat.
Yep.
Ain't nobody worried about no LA. Everybody
about
else is
Brooklyn.
upcoming teams. You know, Denver is still an upcoming team. Luka Doncic and they still upcoming guys.
Right.
But the core group of those two teams from the East Coast to the West Coast, those are the two teams I think that you got to go at and you got to go through. And with Milwaukee being on our side of the tracks, ain't nothing wrong with emulating them.
Nothing at all.
You just gotta have something else. Chris Middleton is the closer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for 3-4 years. It ain't Giannis. It's
Chris
this
Middleton.
guy. This guy gets you the bucket to keep you in the game and to get you the bucket to cash you out in the end. That's what Harden can be for us.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And Joel Embiid can be that as well because now it's gonna get lighter.
Yeah.
Those shots gonna be a little more easier.
Yeah.
And he already killing the league.
Right.
So
You're already killing.
I can't wait to
And-
see what this thing look like.
And like you look at it, you look at the situation, right? And if James Harden can come in and give us what he gave us, without the caliber of center that Joel Embiid is, the game is going to become that much easier. Like Baldy just said, for Joel, he is dominating now, but the domination is going to be in a small way, a little bit more, not exaggerated. But it's still going to be there because there are going to be times, because James Harden can get into the paint, where it's not going to be just the oop like he would throw to Clint Capella and the centers that he had back then. He can drop this off to Joel and they end up with a 3-point play.
Yeah.
Because Joel Embiid can shoot free throws. And he's skilled enough, even off the dribble, to get his own shot. So imagine James Harden off the dribble, he gets caught up, and Embiid, man, helps off maybe a step below the foul line. The drop off to Embiid is very simple. It's a basic basketball play. It's very easy. And then you can arguably get the 3-point play because of the recovery, which is going to be late, because it's arguably going to be a big that has to help. And if by chance that big doesn't help, somebody off that wing is going to either cheat a little bit or help, and then there's a kick out to an open shot for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be, and like you say, even with, or you're going to have somebody like a Matisse dive into the basket, which is something now that Tobias Harris can be in that position if the starters are on the court. That can be him dive into the basket. And again, Matisse Thybulle, okay with the free throws or whatever. We can live and die with him because he makes up for a lot on his defensive end. But Tobias can shoot free throws. And then you got that, again, that three-headed monster, that triangle, and all three of these dudes can shoot free throws. And
That changes the game, man. That's what we did not have. That's what we didn't have. Those were the missing things, or the pieces that, or the piece that we needed.
Mm-hmm.
We had it with Jimmy Butler.
Right.
We had it with Jimmy Butler.
That's arguably, now that you bring that up, and a lot of people probably didn't realize this, but when there was all the talk about how allegedly clumsy Joel was, or why is he stepping out shooting threes and then shooting that fadeaway jump shot, the mid-range jumper. Well, part of him shooting that mid-range jumper is the skill set that he has, and it gives him the advantage over a lot of centers because he can go off the dribble at 7'2", and he can still shoot that. So it puts him in an advantage when he does that. Because he's been in beast mode, he still also has an advantage on the block.
Mm-hmm.
But what was happening prior to that, like we said, when you have another wing player with some size who is normally rotated by other teams' defensive alignment with some size on him, because almost never, because he was playing point guard for us, the other team put their actual point guard on him. So there was always an extra wing that switched off and was guarding him with a little bit of size.
Mm-hmm.
So now you look at that, and people knew that he wasn't a threat to score. So there's now a double team automatically on Joel. And if there's more help, then there's no room. And it makes it look more clumsy than him being surrounded by three players and not having that big guy that's playing with him as an outlet to pull some of this away so we can operate together.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, well, you can't do this and now I got to try and do this all together. No, like, if you help me out, we can do this together.
Right.
And there won't be an issue with that for James Harden, because you kick it out or you dump it down and you go cheat and double. If Joel is continuing to grow with recognizing it as he has been, a quick pass back out is a shot.
Right, exactly.
And it could very arguably be a 3-pointer.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is.
So, I mean, it gives you a lot more to think about. Like Baldy keeps saying, it changes the complexity of the team and the game and how teams are going to now plan to try and defend this thing. So, again, I think something's going to happen for the Sixers coming up in the buyout market. I said I wasn't going to say anything, but some of the names that I've heard were Goran Dragic, maybe even Dennis Schroeder, two guys who would look to be bought out or released. There's also Enes Kanter. I'm not going to call him the other thing. Enes Kanter could possibly be a backup for Joel. I mean, worst case scenario, he would have 6 fouls to use in the playoffs. And he can give you a little bit of offense, 2 to 4 points almost every quarter could help, but he does rebound as well. Somebody also mentioned to me, what about Boogie Cousins? The only thing I say would be, I like that idea and that thought, but the only thing is Boogie Cousins has to come in with his head right.
Yeah.
That's the only issue. You really don't know what you get, but if he comes in with his head right, definitely a good look. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We covered a lot. I was glad to have my partner back in with me. Shout outs to him for being here.
Yes, sir.
We all know
Appreciate
how
it,
things
brother.
go.
Yeah.
Life goes on, and things got where they were, and he
Dirty
wasn't here,
word.
but he's here with me today. And also the reminder, this week, February 17th, this Thursday, we will be on location at the Drake Tavern, 304 Oyoke Road in Jenkintown. Baldy's just told me he'll be able to hang out with me, so he'll be there with us.
Yep.
We may even talk a little bit more of this James Harden thing, because arguably we'll have maybe a game to discuss or analyze and talk about. But other than that, we always give you some pertinent and good content as always. To everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's a little chilly outside today, so dress warm. Be careful. Some spots might be icy on the streets. And enjoy the kickoff of your week. It's Monday. Be great on purpose, as we like to say. You know where to find me. At @SportsRap_D on Instagram and Twitter. On Facebook, Sports Rap Podcast is the group page where we are live right now. Also, the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. YouTube, Sports Rap TV is the channel. Get over there, check out the videos, like the videos that you like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you'll know when new video is up. Also, audio on iHeart, Google, Apple Podcasts, GW District, and most of your podcast outlets. Baldy?
Yeah, you can get at me Ball75 on Instagram, and I can also be reached at Aaron Baltimore on Facebook.
All right, and lastly, closing out, we got schedules for you tonight. NCAA basketball men's top 25. Kansas Jayhawks number 8 are home against Oklahoma State. In the NHL, you got the Red Wings and the Wild, the Blackhawks and the Jets, the Maple Leafs and the Kraken, the Oilers and the Sharks. And in the NBA, the Pistons are in DC to take on the Wizards, the Raptors and the Pelicans, the Thunder and the Knicks, the Rockets and the Jazz, the Kings and the Nets, the Magic and the Nuggets, the Blazers, Bucks, Warriors, Clippers, and Spurs, Bulls. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Everybody that tuned in and chimed in and gave us comments. The Ryan, Nate, Bruce, Emmett, everybody that tuned in. Eureka, I'm sorry if I'm missing you, but thank you everybody for tuning in. And we'll see you next week right here again, Thursday at the Drake Tavern, and all week on social media. Peace.